right, so the first thing we need to do is review area of 2D shapes. So our topic for this week is area of composite figures. Composite figures is just a fancy term for saying we're going to take shapes that we know, such as square, rectangle, triangle, and circle, and we're going to put them together to create a figure, what we call a figure, okay? So the first thing we need to do is review the area of these four shapes. We did this actually last week while I was gone before you guys started your map test, but I wanted to make sure we all remembered these four shapes before we moved on to composite figures. So, does anybody know how we find the area of a square? Yeah, so we're doing area. Okay, area means the inside of the shape. That's really important, guys. We're not going around the outside today. We're talking about all the space inside this square. Okay, so to find the area of a square, we only have one number, right? But we know that this is the same as this, which is the same as that, which is the same as that, as long as we're told it's a square, right? So we have one side, but we need two numbers to find the area of a square. So we're going to take side times side. To find the area of a square, we're going to take side times side. In other words, we're going to take whatever number we have right here, and we're going to multiply it by itself. Okay? So the area of this square would be 4 times 4. Side times side. Every side is the same. 4 times 4 is equal to 16. Now, let's talk for a second about labels, because that's going to come into play as we move forward into volume next week. The label for area should always be whatever unit you're talking about to the second power or squared. Okay? The label for area should always be whatever unit we're using, so in this case centimeters, to the second power or square. Okay? So the area of this particular square is 16 centimeters square. All right, then we have a rectangle. Can anybody tell me how we find the area of a rectangle? It's very similar to a square. Length times width. So again, we have 2 dimensions in a rectangle, only 2. We have 8 and 3 in this case. We call them the length and the width. So to find the area of a rectangle, we're going to take length times width. Okay, go ahead and circle that square or side times side, length times width, so you remember how we did that. So in this case, we're going to take 8 times 3. It doesn't really matter which one is the length or the width, right? Because 3 times 8 and 8 times 3 are the same thing. So length times width, 8 times 3 is equal to 24. What should my label look like? Inches squared, or to the second power. Anytime we're doing area, it is our unit squared. All right, this is one that we sometimes forget, okay, and you guys reviewed it last week and I believe did it last year. How do we find the area of a triangle?
You take the base times height and divide it by half.
Awesome, okay, so everybody write this down. B times H. B stands for base, H stands for height. Base times height, and then notice I put a fraction bar underneath it because that means to do what? And then I'm going to put a 2 on the bottom. Okay? You guys probably saw at some point during a video where somebody did this and then said how many triangles are in there, right? We're taking a rectangle and we're cutting it in half. That's what we're doing. That's why it's base times height divided by 2. Okay? Remember though, height has to be a straight up and down line that is from the base up to the point of the triangle, okay? So I could have a right triangle. Notice how this forms a right angle. But like if this length over here was what was given, that is not the height. The height has to bisect your base. Okay? So our base is 7. Okay, so 7 times. Our height is 4, right? I get those two numbers here. 7 times 4 divided by 2. So 7 times 4 is 28. Divided by 2 is 14. What should my label look like? 14 what? Centimeters squared. All right. So we've done 3 formulas. Side times side, length times width, base times height divided by 2. Our last one is a circle. Who remembers the formula for area of a circle? Oh, we know that it has this in it, right? What is that? Pi. So that equals 3.14. Anybody know the rest? Yeah?
Radius times radius.
Oh, yeah.
And then the answer equals
So,
What is that sign?
pi
Oh.
times r times r, which means radius. Okay? So, guys, when you're working with these formulas, you're just plugging the numbers in that you find. Okay? So, we have pi. What does pi equal?
3.14.
Times r. Looking at our circle, do we see the r?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 2. It's right here. So I'm going to put times 2. And then it says times r again. So I'm going to put times 2 again. Okay? If they told us that the diameter all the way across was 4, we could still find the radius by cutting it in half. You will have to do that in some of your problems, so don't forget that. Okay? Then I just get my calculator. 3.14 times 2 times 2 equals 12.56. What's my label? What's my label? Inches squared. It's okay, I switched it up on purpose. Okay? Alright, so square, we take side times side. Rectangle, we take length times width. Triangle, we take base times height divided by 2. Circle, we take pi, or 3.14 times radius squared, or times radius times radius.